Okay, well, welcome everyone. Appreciate everybody stopping in today to sit in on my webinar. Today, we're going to cover what's in my room, and we're going to show you how to use the Room Family Manager to define room content. We're going to get right into it. My name is Brian Weeks. I'm a Senior AEC Technical Specialist for ATG USA, and I've been working in the industry for 22 years as a project manager, a BIM manager, and while specializing in Revit modeling and rendering. I can become an essential part of your company's team through ATG team augmentation, and you just need to contact your ATG sales representative for more information on that. Today I'm giving this presentation on a Bimbox Striker M. It's a mobile workstation. This amount of time that I've saved working on this computer, it's incredible. I can't even describe how fun it is to work on it. And if you need more information on benchmarks and Bimbox white papers, you can visit our website, atgusa.com/product/Bimbox. And every now and then you might hear my fan kick off on it, and that's just doing its job over here, keeping me going. So the CTC Room Family Manager enables users to quickly and consistently create individual room data sheets in their projects. The Room Family Manager is part of the CTC Tools BIM project suite. And you can download a 14-day trial of any of these BIM suite tools. And you can, from our website, atgusa.com. And you can also contact your ATG sales representative or visit atgusa.com for more information on that. And today I'm going to show you how easy it is to define, maintain, and validate the family content of a defined room type. And using this process will allow designers to build room types, associate content required for each room, and then allow Revit users to then assign room types to your rooms. So why use Room Family Manager? Well, typically a room type, as it pertains to Room Family Manager, defines a specific list of families that must exist in a room. And these room type definitions are built in a spreadsheet using a specific format. And the spreadsheet workbook can have any number of sheets defined to help organize the room type definitions. So when you use this, and why use it, is to help your designers specifically state what content the client wants to, what specific family types, furniture typically, the client wants to have included in each of their rooms. And using this tool, you can then assign that family to the room types, and it's incidentally incorporate and insert those families into your Revit model. So Room Family Manager uses room parameters to build that room type definition, and then that room parameter is assigned, or that tracking parameter is assigned to the room, and it uses a room type parameter and a validation status parameter, so it can double check those rooms and validate that the families that have been specified are in fact in that room. And so you can continually use this tool over and over again, even as the room definitions are changed, perhaps as the client makes additional changes to the furniture they want to include in that room. You can then revalidate over and over again and reassign the correct furniture to that room. So the room types are created by the designer, whether it's the project architect or project manager, working, of course, in conjunction with the owner. And then the designer will associate content that was required for each of those rooms. And Room Family Manager will then assign that content to the rooms. And like I said previously, the designer can then make changes to that room content over and over again, and it will allow, Room Family Manager will allow that to happen, and then reassign the proper families to those projects, to those rooms, excuse me. So let's go ahead and get into it. I'm going to demonstrate this tool. And again, if you have any questions for anybody that's kind of latecomer to the presentation, feel free to type up your questions in the chat or the Q&A, and we will have a Q&A session at the end. So I'm going to go ahead and open up one of my floor plans. This is just a typical room legend floor plan in my project. And it's important that you have your rooms associated with a specific room type because that's how the room family manager associates that information to your rooms. So I'm going to go up here to CT software. Let me go ahead and specify, if you download the 14-day trial, that these are, like, for example, this is the BIM project suite. We have some other suites, and if you see any other tools up here that your company might be interested in knowing about, contact your ATG sales rep, and they can schedule a demonstration. And if you download the 14-day trial on any of these tools, the light colored tools are free and will stay free as long as you have it installed on your computer, the software. And the darker colored tools are the premium tools that come along with that are with the subscription to the software. Room Family Manager is a subscription and a premium tool. But I'm going to go ahead and take a look at that. Let's go ahead and open it up. All of our CTC tools have controls here at the top for help, a video button that will instantly take you to YouTube to show you an instructional video on the tool that you're using. You also have a support button and about the software if it needs any updates or changes. So Room Family Manager uses parameters, and under this first tab, RFM parameters, it requires 2 project parameters, and you could create your own parameters or utilize the ones with Room Family Manager. And you're going to be specifying a room type and then a validation status. Typically this will stay the same, but the room type parameter, if you already have a room type parameter set up in your company's standards under your rooms, you can definitely assign it to that parameter as well and have it calculate. Revit project must be saved whenever you get ready to start, and that just kind of validates the data if any changes have been made. Now this saves it to local, it's not saving it to central. So after any changes have been made, you will need to go ahead and save to central if it is a work shared file. So our first task is we're going to go ahead and build room type definitions into a spreadsheet. I already have something loaded here, so I'm going to clear that out so we can start from scratch and show you how we're going to build this this data set. So automatically, Room Family Manager will have these headings: room type, family type, quantity, length, width, height. And what this is going to allow us to do is specify the room types, apply families to it, a type, the quantity in those rooms, and of course your length, width, and height of those placeholders. Because what this is going to do is generate square, rectilinear placeholders in your project until you actually assign a physical Revit family to that placeholder. And we're going to go through all that today. So first off, let's go ahead and we're going to save out our template. And I'm just going to call it the RFM template. And the next thing we're going to do is open that in Excel. And this is where your designer would come in and add the information, basically creating the standards that the client is wishing to have in their project. So let's go ahead and open this up. We have a blank one. Designer's going to come in and edit this template. I'm going to go ahead and rename this room _ families. going to add a tab, rename this room underscore types. And then under the under this tab, I can associate my room types with my room families. So to do that, I'm going to add a data validation. I'm going to choose a list. And then I'm going to select equal room types. And then what I need it to do is assign this data validation under room families tab to associate with whatever room types I create over here. And so I'll go ahead and just to validate all of the first row to infinity, basically. I'll go ahead and hit OK. Now I have my first tab is a data list that's associated with my room types. Let's go ahead and copy this. I'll just take it down to 100 maybe. Now each one of those cells is going to have that data validation. So now we're going to go to my room types tab and we're going to start filling out some room types. This particular project is an office building, so we may have an office, executive, and then we're going to have an office standard. Give me just a second. I left a piece of paper over here. Sorry about that. I had my prep here for preparing my rooms and things. We'll go ahead and do an office, a conference room. Maybe a meeting room. And you can add whatever variations of rooms you need to add for your project per the owner's requirements. So I flip back over here to the room families tab, and then I'm going to start adding content. So for example, if I pick the office standard, I can pick these a couple of times. And what we're going to do is we're going to start specifying what content is going to be in that room. Now, the great thing about this is this, I mean, you do this setup and you can actually save out this process. So if you do a lot of office buildings or hospitals or educational facilities, you can, the setup to start this, of course, is what you're seeing me do. But once I do it this one time, I can save out the file and then just make changes on a project by project basis. So you're kind of seeing the setup here, but then the time saver is that after you do this initial setup, then you can save these room types out and on a project by project basis, reload them into your projects. And all you have to do is swap out the furniture that the owner wants and reapply it to these office standards. So let's go ahead and I'm going to just say a standard desk, chair with arms. Let's go chair, no arms. Maybe a credenza and a trash can. Now there's other room types that I selected and inserted in over here, and I'll open up a different spreadsheet here in a minute that'll kind of have more data filled out. Right now I'm just wanting to show you the setup. Now on these specific items, we need to tell it per room the quantity that's going to happen. Well, this would be the main desk and the desk, the user, and then maybe some two chair, no arms for visitors to the office, one credenza, one trash can. And you can add any other content that the client needs to have in that room. And when I specify length, width, and height, these are just for the placeholders. Once you load the actual families to replace these placeholders, the parameters that are associated with those families, specifically, you know, desks and widths and heights and lengths, any of those parameters are going to be overwritten. All this is doing is creating a placeholder in the room until you swap out the family types. So let's go ahead and add a length. We'll go ahead and say 60-inch desk, 36 width, 36 height. Chair no arms, let's just go 30, 30, 36. Chair no arms would be the same. And then credenza, we'll go 72, 24, 30. And a trash can, 18, 12, 18. So once I've added this, and of course I'll have this list completely filled out with all my room content, then what you do is you will save this out. And you'll need to save this as an Excel SX file. That way, some of the data that's associated with this, it's a newer file format that's going to allow the room family manager to analyze and sort that data more efficiently. So we'll save that out. Sure. And then I'll go ahead and load up. Let's load up my example. Whoop, picked the wrong one. Oh, did I just overwrite? Oh, great. All right. Well, that's an accidental overwrite there, I believe. But I saved some of my mapping. We may be able to get that to come up in here. Oh, there we go. I must have selected the wrong one. All right. So a little bit fuller list, a little bit more specifying, the rooms, what goes in them, marker boards, televisions. So the list is just dependent on what your client needs. So as you fill it out more and more, add content, maybe as your company uses this workflow more, you'll develop this in more detail, and you can add outlets and any kind of MEP items that maybe come up that are required for various rooms as well. And that can also be a list that's kind of controlled through this. So now that we've got this, let me close all these Excel windows I opened. We're going to go ahead and load that one I had. And I'm going to go to, and of course you can see how this is all loaded in the additional rooms. I'm going to go to my Assign Room Types tab. And this is where it looks just like a room schedule. I've got my associations by room, number, room name, the department associated, which is a room parameter. And these are, different ways that you can sort the rooms and manage the content. Right now I've got, all my offices sorted. And what we're going to do is now build the room type definitions from existing rooms. So if I zoom in over here, you can see on this side, maybe I can make this a little smaller here. This is just my first floor plan. And I can go through and individually select the room type one by one. Or if I want to, I can also select multiple rooms and then assign multiple room types at one time, which is what I'll do. I'll go ahead and do all my offices here and assign my room types to office standard. So now that I've selected those, I'm going to apply those room assignments. And so what it's going to do is take this parameter. This is the RFM parameter, and it's going to apply those to these rooms. So now my office standard room type is associated with these rooms. You can also get project room assignments if they've already been assigned as well. If you're doing some changes or modifying to an existing project that has room assignments already in there. So now that I've built my room type definitions and assigned them, now I'm going to place family content in my model based on those room type assignments. So we're going to go to the Place Families and Validate tab. And again, it's going to show me all my rooms in the project. It's going to show me my room type, which I've assigned these offices, the office standard room type. And then it also validates. So if I have any changes or anything that's not working correctly that's not been assigned, it's not going to show up here validated. So first thing I'm going to do is place families. And I'm going to, you can have two different choices to consider both type definitions and family mappings, or you can just do it considering room type definitions only. Let's go ahead, and the default is the room types and family mappings. So let's go ahead and select that. This usually takes a few minutes, and it just depends on the size of your project, the amount of rooms you have, of course, the amount of families being generated, because what it's doing right now is actually from the list that we've specified and the sizes that we specified, creating generic placeholders for the size that we listed in our spreadsheet. Now, of course, this project is one of my demo projects, so there's probably some here or there that I've missed removing before. So it just gives me a, hey, these are some identical instances in the same place. We're going to let it finish out here. I've learned the hard way, don't get too ahead of yourself. Let it finish the green taskbar down here, because if you don't and you start messing around with stuff, it can definitely mess up your Revit program. So now that we've placed our families, we can come down here. I can zoom in, and you can see that it's created these placeholders. So here's my desk, and this is where you can start rearranging the furniture. So there's my credenza. Now, of course, these are not yet associated with an actual family. These are just placeholders according to the size that I specified in my spreadsheet. Now, some of the stuff's not showing up. I think I may have had, yeah, there's my chair. So I've had some issues, I guess, because I had that loaded already and didn't delete it. So it's going to show up as a chair already in an association. And let me do this real quick too, because my furniture is apparently hidden. So I'm going to jump over this other CTC tool, another one of my favorites, Invisibility Advisor. And I'm going to use that real quick to find out why this isn't showing up. I know what it is. It's because it's turned off. But with this tool, you can very quickly analyze why things are invisible and hidden in your plans. Click Fix, close it, whoop, and jump back. And there we go. So now it's unhidden. So now I have the chair unhidden there. Go back to my room family manager. So it's showing that our families have passed the validation. We placed the content in and family mappings, and then placed them. Now I could go through and take the time to replace all these. You can also group them as long as they're still associated with that, that particular room type. I could group it, mirror it, flip it around, any kind of changes that need to be made with those. So Now we can validate. So if I accidentally delete something, like if I delete my chair, then I can actually come in and validate my rooms. And it's going to do a check again on what's not showing up. And again, this takes a minute because it's actually validating the whole project. It's checking all of my room types throughout the project. So it shows me, hey, you're missing this desk. Need to reassociate that. So I can place families again, and it will reassociate that. So even if stuff gets changed at some point, somebody accidentally deletes something, with this validation tool, as long as the definitions in the original spreadsheet, or whatever the client needs, it will validate those changes according to that list, and then reassign it. Now this does get a little tricky with groupings. If you start doing groupings and doing a whole lot of changes, that will get a little tricky with reassociating those, because sometimes, like you just saw, it didn't put it where it was before. It put it in the middle of the room. But typically with some, if it is grouped, it'll change, all the way across the board. And if I, move that one desk, then it will move it, in theory, it will move it with all your groups. Groups are, Revit likes groups, but sometimes really dislikes them because it'll give you issues with phasing and the furniture placement and rotation. There's a lot of things that with groups that, as you probably well know, are kind of tricky. So we've validated them, we've deleted something, we've rechecked it, and now we need to associate actual Revit families with these placeholders. So the first thing we need to do is load in the families that I'm going to associate. So let's go to my place a component, load a family. I have a couple here just ready to go in my folder, but you may have to go to your company's standards and associate and reload those. But once I have those loaded, okay, I'm not actually wanting to place one. Thank you, Revit. I'll delete that. Now I'm wanting to associate these placeholders with the actual Revit family. So we'll go to our Room Family Manager. We'll go to our last tab, Swap Families. And I don't know if you've noticed following along, and all the CTC tools are this way, and that is they follow a kind of a pattern from left to right, top to bottom, and so they're fairly intuitive on use. Training on most of these tools does not take a whole lot of time to develop, because we can kind of show you once and, oh yeah, I'll follow along left to right, top to bottom, and you follow the process and you get what the tool is intended to do. So back to swapping families, you take the last tab, we're going to swap families, and you can see how one of my previous sessions I didn't clear out completely. So my association with these placeholders and chairs are still there, and so that's why it swapped that out automatically. But what we need to do now is associate these other placeholders with its specific family. So let's go ahead and do some of this. Where's my credenza? Desk credenza. Trash can. I've applied them. You can also, to make it easier, you can sort by room types. You can do it by work sets. There's some various ways to sort out, especially if you have a project with a lot of floors, a lot of rooms. This does make it a little easier to sort that information out. Right now, though, I'm just working on this standard office. And that's really all there is to it. You specify the family that's going to get replaced, and then I'm going to hit swap room families. Again, this takes a couple minutes because it's actually going through the process of analyzing the placeholders and then swapping them out for the actual family types that we're specifying. Sometimes there can be issues depending on face-based items. Can cause some issues with the room family manager. It just depends on how the family was created and specific parameters within the family. So it's not, the family generation's not completely perfect sometimes because of the parameters set within the family. And then, so I need to, and you can see what it's done. I need to save my project because I don't think it swapped those out. So it did not. So let's go ahead and do this again. Let's try this one at a time. And this is definitely another item that I've noticed is that once I've left it open for a long time and I kind of jump in and out instead of kind of following through in one process as a designer, jumping in and out will sometimes cause these families not to swap out completely. But you can notice when it happens and then just swap that family out. I noticed I'm not selecting this one right now because I noticed it I did not get those associated with that room correctly. Have a question about what happens if a room got deleted or a room becomes not placed after a wall is deleted. It'd be the same as showing in your room schedule. I mean, if it's, even if your room got deleted, now, I mean, I can see what you're saying. Like if this got deleted, the furniture would still be there because it's been placed. But that would just be part of the, you're deleting or removing a room per the owner. Then it would have to be cleaned up, of course, because it's not associated with that room type anymore because it wouldn't show up in the room list. So it says I'm missing families here. So it's going to reassign those. It's always good to go back and revalidate your rooms if you're having any issues. And again, this is going to be a really kind of in-deep designer application. But again, the great thing about it is that if you spend that time up front with your designer to specify these room types and the furniture placement in those rooms, if your firm does this a lot, like I said before, hospitals, hotels, offices, and you have that specific standard of items, then let's see, because there's my chairs with no arms, and I think that may have been why it wasn't working. But you get the standard set up, and then over and over again on each project, you just pull this up. Let's validate those rooms again. You just pull this program up, and then you can reassign those families over and over again and make changes. Are the furniture in room types model groups? Currently, they're not. These are all individual families at the moment. What's going on here? It says I'm missing a desk. Let's try something. Let me do this real quick and I'll restart this back up again. But you can make those groups. So if you do create your families and you regenerate your model groups, or you make your family's model groups for each, for office or whatever. As long as it's in that room, then it's that parameter, that RFM parameter is associated with those family types because of this, because of the list. And I'm regenerating my replacing my families. Uh, and again, I think this has a lot to do with the fact that my previous demo, I didn't clear out all of my families. So when it's trying to do it now, it's like specifying that it's not working when it should be working correctly. Again, you can, with this tool, you can export, save your report. You can save out your templates. Okay, so now I've got those back in there again. Even though I deleted them, it's reassociating those families, placing them, and then I'll revalidate. And that's really the thing I love about it too, is that if you do, something's not working right, hey, delete it, redo it. It's something with this family is not cooperating with me today. And now let's go ahead. We've done this. Let's go ahead and do a little refresh on this page. Let's go ahead and do our reassignment. So let's do this. Let me just try the desk and let's see what happens. And then we'll do one and we can do multiples. And again, it's this is taking this family and swapping it for the RFM placeholder. So in the case of this particular chair, this is the actual family already, so it's not going to reassociate a family with a family. It's reassociating the family with that placeholder that was generated by the room family manager. All right, let's see here. Must be something wrong with that desk. I just downloaded that right before this presentation, so I apologize. It was a out of the box Revit OOTB, so I need to take a look at it and see why that's not working. Let's see, I got my chair, no arms, credenza, trash can. Try this. I mean, once you see it and you kind of go through the process of the setup, you can see that it's fairly straightforward. Once you have those standards in place, you start up your new project. You have your room associations. There we go. Now it's doing it. Thank you, Revit. So once you have them in place and you get those associations, then every time you start a project, you say, hey, this is an office. Here's my office type. You do that with all your your whole project. You associate those rooms, and then you just get the placeholders and relocate the furniture, move it around, and then add additional furniture if the client wants other items in the project. Anyway, and that's it. I mean, you just rearrange them and change it on a project by project basis. Let's see, and that is it for the room family manager. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed learning about the room family manager today. If you would like ATG to present a company presentation on any of the BIM suites, Hive, which is our content management system, or any other Autodesk software that ATG offers, please contact your company sales representative. You can subscribe to ATG social media on LinkedIn and YouTube. And we have new content, blogs, webinars, white papers, and more each week. So your company can't afford to not be subscribing to get the latest information in the industry. Thank you for joining me today. And if you have any questions, comments, or even requests for additional web content, please visit atgusa.com.